Welcome back, demons, ladies and gentlemen. The video I dropped yesterday was reacting to Pete Hegseth's speech, and we know how terrible that was. So imagine how terrible this Donald Trump speech is about to be. Okay, let's dive into it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, Pete. Great job you're doing, too. Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future. But you just feel...
Wow, he threatened your job and you start laughing. Pathetic. All right, I'm going to move me real quick.
Nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary Hegseth and General Kane, General Raisin Kane for a reason, they call him that. When I heard his name, I said, you're the guy I'm looking for. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and so many others in this room who together represent the greatest and most elite fighting force in the history of the world, the United States military. We're very...
What is that buzzing, man? You guys couldn't fix the mic quality? Jesus Christ.
Proud of our military. I rebuilt the military during my first term. It's one of the greatest achievements. We had the greatest economy in history, and I built the military. Those are the two things I say more than anything else. And I also kept us safe at the borders. We had very good borders. We didn't have people coming in.
He shut down the border because of COVID.
In from jails and prisons and everything like took place over the last 4 years. They'll never forget what happened to this country over the last 4 years with the incompetence. There could be no higher honor than to serve as your commander-in-chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. I hate that. You know? No, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't. I don't want to go on after that. No, he gave a great speech, but he talked about Department of War. We were sitting there. I said, didn't it used to be called the Department of War? And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before that. We only won. And then we went in a way woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness.
Wow. The first sign of wokeness is going from the Department of War to the Department of Defense. Very based indeed.
Change it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we change it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. You know, they gave it a little thought. But in the end, we did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up, I must be honest with you.
Imagine being able to build an app with your...
He wants them to give up. That's how he becomes a dictator. He wants the left to give up.
They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. They're bad, a lot of bad people. But all over, it's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. Like what I call the Gulf of America, right. The Gulf of America. Because to me, it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage. And for years, actually 350 years, they were there before us. It was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map. I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the Gulf?
So he just has ideas and they just do it because... Man, this is our president, bro. Like, dead ass. This is so pathetic. This is so pathetic.
Of America. And I made the change and it went smoothly. I mean, we had a couple of fake news outlets that refused to make the change. And then one of them, AP, took us to court and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said the name is the Gulf of America because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote, they're not a good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't. And then we won in court. How about that? Isn't that so cool? The Secretary Hexa beautifully described the name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And, we want war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there. And, sometimes you have to do it. I saw.
We want war, but we want new wars. Well, you have to do war to get no wars. What the fuck is he talking about? What? Bro, what? What are we talking about?
I have settled so many wars since we're here. We're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7. And yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all. Although I don't know, Pakistan, India was very big, both nuclear powers. I settled.
He didn't. That's not true. He did not settle 7 wars. He may have helped in like 2.
All that.
Yeah.
But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting? 3,000 years. So that's a long time. But we got it, I think, settled. We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And they don't. It's going to be very tough on them, but it is what it is. But all of the.
How do you create a ceasefire deal without Hamas? Like you're forcing. You're not. They're not at the negotiation table, and you're just saying, "Oh yeah, we have a deal. We have a peace deal." Now they just have to accept. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. That's not how peaceful negotiation works, not at all. What?
Arab nations, Muslim nations have agreed. Israel has agreed. It's an amazing thing. It just came together. War is very strange. You never know what's going to happen with war. The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said, number one, it's a war that would have never happened if I were president. If the election weren't rigged. If I were president, that war would have never happened. Not even a little chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought that would be easy.
Cap. That's why Putin's playing like a little bitch. You keep on saying, "Oh yeah, you're going to end this," and Putin just plays you and just bombs Ukraine more. And then when you ask how was the war not going to happen, Trump, he's saying, "Oh well, because I'm friends with Putin." Okay.
Because I know him so well. Well, that one turned out to be the hardest of them all. We had some that were not settlable, and they all got settled. So if this works out, that we did yesterday with the Middle East, then that's more than a war. That's lots of wars. That's all combined. That's a lot of wars. Many of you were over there in many different capacities in many different countries. That's a big part of the earth. But if that works out, it would be 8+. I could give myself 2 or 3 for that one. And then we just have the one to settle. We have to settle it up with President Putin and Zelensky. Got to get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength. We had the horror show in Afghanistan, which is really the reason I think that Putin went in. He saw that horror show by Biden and his team of incompetent people.
Oh my God, you just
and that showed. I think it gave him a path in. I wasn't there any longer. I watched that, and it was so horrible. I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
Of course.
And now we're back. That's it. We're not going to have any of that crap happen. I can tell you. That was terrible.
When did you become president again? I think the most embarrassing, one of the most embarrassing instances in American history might have to do with the fact that you try to overthrow the Capitol with your followers. I don't know.
So terrible.
Maybe.
Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that won and built this nation. And from the cavalry that tamed the Great Plains to the ferocious and yielding power of Patton Bradley and the great General Douglas MacArthur, these are all great men in this effort. We're a team, and so my message to you is very simple. I am with you. I support you. And as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military strong.
Just like the police officers who were pissed that you pretty much pardoned everybody that, attacked police officers from January 6th. Got it. Understood.
Longer, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to use it because the power of that is so incredible. I see things I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be that good with nuclear. You could have 1/20th what you have now and still do the damage that would be, that'd be so horrendous. But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear, I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them.
That was such a stupid joke. What? You can't say nuclear and you can't say the N-word. Interesting.
And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights. Over the past 8 months, new enlistments, I'm so proud of this, have surged to record highs, the highest we've ever had. And we used to have recruiting shortages. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, I was.
And this is a lie too. He had nothing to do with the new, with the increase in recruitment. They were establishing changes to their recruitment strategy before Trump had anything to do with it. But he takes credit for anything that's good, obviously. And then anything that's bad is Joe Biden's fault, obviously.
At the beginning stage of a campaign, and things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also, fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great. And I got 95% of their vote too. That helps. When you get 95% of the vote, you always have to mention them. But they're great. And they're brave in our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about because it's a big part of war now. It's a big part of war. But the firemen go up in ladders and you have people shooting at them while they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that. And I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky, rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen that are way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over. It's over. They don't even have to inspect you.
About?
Why are we called Northern Tool and Equipment and not Northern
What
Tool
is he talking about?
When you hit the ground, and you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually.
What the fuck is he talking about? What person is shooting at firemen while they're trying to save people? What the fuck is he talking about? Is he making this shit up so he can justify invading inner cities? That sounds like something you would do. 100% sounds like something you would do, to be honest.
Actually, a big problem we have. They're unbelievable. Like you, they're unbelievable people. For the first time on record in 2025, the Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better.
I think he's probably making that up. You know what? Let me check that one.
Congratulations, Army. They met everything. And these were the highest standards because we're making it larger.
Army, I know for a fact he has nothing to do with. But let me check the other one.
So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it 4 months early. And you remember a year and a half ago, they said the big stories that we're way behind with the Army, Air Force, the Navy, the Marines. We're way behind, Coast Guard, and even Space Force. I love Space Force because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it. And the people we put in there were good. I got that right. We put in great people initially, and we've really dominated. We really dominated that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning, you know, when Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate it. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that. And he got hammered by the people in this room for even suggesting it, because it's very important, one of the most important. And as time goes by, it'll get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country. And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I'd go make a speech in front of never.
I'm be honest, the default when it comes to Trump is just assume he's lying. He's such a pathological liar. Just assume he's lying. Um, I'm just gonna go to PolitiFact. Usually they have everything. My internet's been so weird today. Okay, so it's just being slow.
Ever people like you. You are the leaders. But people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. And it was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years, the auto pen. I call them the auto pen. It's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? When I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said, throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use.
I couldn't confirm the military thing. If someone has a source, please let me know in the comments. I know the Army one. I don't know the other ones. He's probably making that stuff up, so that's why I can't find any information about it.
The big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. And I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the president of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proud.
Yeah, that's why your signature was on that weird Epstein message. What is he yapping about,
I always
bro?
think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for what he gave his son, Hunter. Pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was so bad. The auto pen looks much better. But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that America.
The Joe Biden auto pen stuff is a lie. The only reason why they keep on repeating it is they want to make it seem like someone was signing stuff for Joe Biden, which is not true. No evidence.
Military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had India and Pakistan were going at it, and I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. You still have two nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can.
He's making that shit up too. I think it was India. One of the sides, India or Pakistan, said he was involved. The other one said did not confirm he was involved at all.
Go into this freaking war that I'm hearing about. Actually, they just shot down 7 planes. 7 planes. It was starting. There was a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4.
And I want to be clear, everything that I say can be fact checked. You can look it up. You can read the article. You can read the information. You realize that I'm telling the truth. I'm not like Donald Trump where I just lie pathologically. I'm actually very much against lying for no reason.
4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan. And he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautiful as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group. He said this man saved millions of lives because he saved
so it
the
was
war
Pakistan
from going on.
that capitulated.
And that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I love the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them. Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8 in 8 months. That's pretty.
I think the Rwandan one. I think what I've seen from the Rwanda one is that they have done numerous ceasefires, but basically every ceasefire has ended in them going back into conflict. So that one's a wait and see.
Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that. I don't want it. I want the country to get it.
Shut up. You've been begging and bitching about a Nobel Prize for months. And you don't deserve it. You've been ruining the world. You're a terrible person. You're a piece of shit.
They should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one.
If we're going to talk about life, can we talk about your weird relationship with Epstein, the Epstein files? How about all the sexual misconduct? How about the racism? How about the corruption? How about the fraud? How about all the failed businesses? How about you inciting people to commit violence? How about you firing and losing the job? How about you ruining the economy? Well, there's a lot to talk about how you're the worst president in United States history. A lot to talk about.
Signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and we create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky. The easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others were much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan, this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, so don't do it. I said, I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. I knew immediately.
I think that one's also not true. I believe is that one. I'm trying to remember exact details from what I saw when I read about that one. And from my memory, there was like no real situation taking place, something like that.
As soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. We did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years.
Or that could be the one where he actually did help and both sides did capitulate to Trump. I know there's at least one conflict that does happen. Everything else, he just bullshit.
22 years. He said, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. They have the beautiful Resolute desk. And one was here and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice. And you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And you know that war, that was a war that was not solvable. He said for 7 years. The other one said for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best. And I'm allowed to say that anymore. I said, tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court.
We are not becoming rich as hell at all. We're actually in a terrible circumstance where we're about to go in the war. The national debt is about to increase drastically because of everything that has been taking place. The economy is taking a huge hit from all the tariffs. A lot of businesses have been struggling from importing goods. So
I can't imagine, because this is what other nations have done to us. And we have great legal grounds, but you still have a case. It would be very bad if something happened. But I said, my favorite word in the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. When you look at, we've taken in.
I'll give this, even though Trump is an idiot who really has no idea what the fuck he's talking about most of the time, because of his quick wit and charisma, he's able to appeal to people. That is a skill, to enamor people. You gotta respect that part about the guy.
Trillions of dollars. We're rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now we're treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it. The other day they had $31 billion that they found, $31 billion. So we found $31 billion and we're not sure from where it came. a gentleman came in, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. 31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral.
31 billion from tariffs. Okay. All right. Let's look at that one. 31 billion dollars from tariffs. I'm just curious because obviously this is not a counting amount of money we lost. Oh, that's Fox. Fox is full of shit. All right, let's continue.
About 2 miles away. But it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship. Nice 6-inch side solid steel, not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now those ships, they don't make them that way anymore, but you look at it and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering. There were powers. There were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you could be. And so we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. Merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite of you ask for a definition. The opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them, but for many reasons they were unfit. Now,
yeah, like P. Heck said, unfit. RFK Jr. unfit. Tulsi Gabbard unfit. Kirstie Noem unfit.
it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one.
Trump unfit.
We said we needed. We went in for colleges, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in. Kids with the highest boards and the highest marks or the best marks couldn't get into the best schools, and people that had not good boards and not very good marks, I mean, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy. You can't run a country like this. And it was lingering for years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit, everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going
to. Wasn't that under Biden's administration? I think he's making that shit up. All right, let me look at this. I found this article, firstpost.com. So, should have January between 165 and 172 billion from January to August. It puts the figure at 183 billion for 2025. The Bipartisan Policy Center, which includes excise tax revenue, puts that figure at 158.8 billion. Regardless of the source, these figures are a massive jump from 2024 and 2022, when the U.S. took in 74 billion and 98 billion, respectively. In August, the U.S. took in 30 billion in tariffs, a record for 2025, and 136% increase year over year. This also took in 28 billion in July, compared to just 7 billion during the same month last year. In June, compared to May, blah, blah, blah. While the tariffs are continuing to add billions to the coffee every month, they still aren't anywhere near the trillions of dollars Trump recently claimed. They don't even come close to the 2 billion per day figure he previously boasted about. Though Trump and others in his administration have claimed tariffs could go towards paying down the federal debt and even potentially replacing the income tax, but U.S. national debt is at $37.43 trillion. The United States federal government took in $2.5 trillion from income tax alone in 2024. So yeah, this is not going to be able to cover it, especially with the tax cuts. The bigger problem is from where the money's coming from. Trump's problem is that his understanding of tariffs, which he has developed an obsession, is screwed. Trump has accused of other countries of using tariffs to rip us off. He also focused on the trade deficit between countries and sees tariffs as a way of remedying them. One sec. Unfortunately, tariffs aren't paid by the country to the United States. And many of his supporters still don't comprehend. In fact, it is private companies that pay tariffs to import goods to the United States. Experts also warn that the impact of Trump's tariffs are slowly kicking in. Inflation, which the U.S. Federal Reserve had under control near its 2% target, has been steadily creeping upwards. Companies in April responded to Trump's initial tariffs by placing bulk order for goods to allow them to not immediately spike prices and alarm consumers. However, now the prices of goods such as electronic appliance, sports equipment, and toys are increasing. Companies are also reluctant to hire with the latest job numbers in the toilet. So just to be very clear, it seems like the 31 trillion is accurate. But as always, Donald Trump doesn't realize that tariffs are paid by the people here. And he doesn't understand that the price increases of all the goods that's been happening in America is because of his tariffs. And the job cuts are because of his tariffs. So he's actually been ruining the economy and not helping the people that he's supposed to be helping in the United States of America.
Have somebody taking your place for political reasons because they are politically correct and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job. That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time. And everyone understands it. And it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had tremendous courage. I didn't think they'd do that. That was tremendous. I give them maybe for that decision almost more than anything because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. The apparatus of our country was not set up for merit. It was set up for political correctness. And you can never be great if you're going to do that. And we're going to be greater than we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic. And it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom. And we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight. We want to win. And we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you out of wars because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops. And we're going to settle them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. Actually, you might not have been able to settle them. We just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower. But when we do need it, you're going to be so ready. And you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026. And that's the most in the history of our country. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. I hope you like that. Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot.
Putting more money in the military. Great.
A lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch is seeing major investments. And as I announced in the Oval Office in March, we are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Boeing came in and they said, sir, this is our submittal. It's the greatest fighting jet ever done. And, you know, they're testing all these planes. All the companies are testing. And this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47.
Yep.
86. I don't want that in my record. Deterrence capabilities like never before. And we've begun construction on what we call the Golden Dome missile defense shield. It'll be the most sophisticated in the world. You watched it do well until they had some problems at the end with
wasting fucking money on a Golden Dome. All right, base. Let's make it even harder on Americans because you know what's going to pay for that? Your taxes.
A little bit of a lack of ammunition, defensive ammunition, but they've got that taken care of. But I tell you, it's what we're doing is so good, and we deserve it. You know, we help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves. And Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become.
That's a lie. Canada didn't ask to be a part of the Golden Dome at all. That's a lie.
51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free.
Franklin University makes it possible.
As you receive your diploma from Franklin University.
So I don't know if that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes us having a hard time up there in Canada now because, as you know, with tariffs, everyone's coming into our country. We have more investment.
That's a fucking lie. We actually are a record low tourism. Nobody's coming into the country
Than we've ever had before. $17 trillion coming in. As an example, in 4 years, Biden didn't have $1 trillion. We have 17 trillion more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back to the United States.
A lot of that investment is from Joe Biden, not Donald Trump, by the way. Those were deals made by Joe Biden's administration. Just want to be very clear on that.
Under my budget, we will be expanding the U.S. Navy by at least 19 ships next year, including submarines, destroyers, assault ships, and more. And it's going to be much more than that as we go along, because we basically don't build ships anymore. We do build submarines, but we don't build ships. You know, in the Second World War, they were freighters and different types, but we were doing a ship a day, and now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I said, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary in order to say you're stealth. By the way, the B-2 bombers were incredible. That is stealth. They went into that. I was with General Kane and Pete we call it the war room. But we're watching them go in, and they were totally untouched. They were not seen. They were literally not seen. They dropped their bombs. They hit every single one of them, hit its target. It was total obliteration. CNN, when we came back, fake news CNN, oh, the camera just went off. You know, the camera, every time I mention it, they turn the camera off because it's never good. They say, this is a problem. But I don't blame them. You're better off keeping it on. But they have some scammer reporter who started saying, without any knowledge, that he may not have hit the targets as well as they thought. It may not have been obliteration. He did hit the targets, and I got to give us a little credit, right? It was obliteration, it turned out. The Atomic Energy Commission said it was obliteration. Not only did they hit the target, they had these shoots. And think of this here. Way up in the sky, there was no moon. It was dead dark. Couldn't see a thing. You couldn't see them. But they had, I guess, a beam going right into these chutes. Every single one of those bombs went right down those chutes into a granite mountain. I think it's the last time they're going to build air chutes. They had these air chutes. So these
Yapping.
any better. So they flew for 37. I wouldn't. I asked the question, what happens if it gets hit? Sir, you don't want to know about that, right? I don't want to know about that. But those guys, they just hear us. They're incredible. I had them all to the Oval Office. We had the B-2 pilots and a lot of the people, even the people that took care of them, the maintenance people, just as important. We had them all to the White House, gave them a big party on the lawn, brought some of them into the Oval Office. But on top of all this, we'll deliver a hard-earned pay raise of 3.8% to every soldier, sailor, airman, Coast Guardsman, Space Guardman, and Marine, something you weren't getting from the past administration. They did not treat you with respect. They're Democrats. They never did.
They don't treat the military with respect. You guys do, though, by firing the people who are not loyal to you. Got it.
Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first.
That's a lie. He's been Donald Trump first. And yeah, he has been using the administration's strength, as in his authoritarian power.
It's sort of simple, you know, when you think. My campaign was run on common sense, and we did great. We've got the highest numbers ever received in terms of districts. You know, they have it broken up 2,500 versus 525. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won everything. You have to take a look at the map. It's almost entirely red, except there's a little blue line on each coast, and I think that's going to disappear too. We did really great, and part of it is because of our success with the military, the rebuilding of the military, the vote that I got from the military, and they're vicious people, you know, that we have to fight, just like you have to fight vicious people. Mine are different, a different kind of vicious, but they spread all these horrible, you know, they made up statements and said what I said about everything, but even about the military. But fortunately, the military didn't believe it. It's hard, you know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that. 25. We had 25 affidavits, and they said, well, we're going with it anyway. You know, these sleazebags. And that's why the press is really losing all power, because people aren't.
Crazy, because it was a military personnel who said that you said those terrible things about the military, but I guess he was spreading fake news. I guess.
Believing it. We need an honest press. We need borders. We need borders. We need an honest press. We need fair elections. I mean, those three things. And we don't have an honest press. We have a really corrupt press, but we fight through the corrupt press. And the people understand you have to do this stuff a lot. You have to go on television a lot because you can't get a fair shake if you're going to rely on somebody else. They don't understand. They've destroyed the image of media now is at the lowest point it's ever been. It's lower than Congress. Can you believe that? It's something. But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when.
Wow, immigrants come in the country. That's an invasion. Yeah, totally. This guy wants to make a Department of War, by the way. He wants to make a Department of War, but he also wants to protect our homeland. But he also wants to not start new wars, but he also wants to have the capacity to engage in war. They're just saying a bunch of shit and hoping something sticks to the wall to people. Oh my God.
They're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers.
That's a lie. That's
murderers.
a lie.
You know, we had
That's a lie.
11,488 murders allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no
That's
clue.
a lie. That's a
He
lie.
shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant people, but dumb as hell when it came to policy and common sense. And they allowed people from all over the world, from the
Donald
Congo.
Trump doesn't
They
even know
opened
what
up
a tariff
prisons in the
is.
Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked. And from all over South America, not just South America, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever.
That's a lie. He's such a piece of shit. He just keeps on lying.
But we took care of them. We took good, strong care of them. And I just want to thank the National Guard in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to say this. Now I can say it because we solved it. But Washington, D.C. was the most unsafe, most dangerous city in the United States of America. And to a large extent, beyond that.
That's a lie.
You go to Afghanistan, they didn't have anything like that. You go to countries that you would think there's problems, they didn't have that. And now Washington, D.C., after 12 days of serious intensity, we took out 1,700 career criminals. If you have 5 career criminals, they can make your numbers look very bad because they'll commit many crimes a day. But we took out.
That's probably a lot. 1,700 career. Nah, he's making that shit up too. I'm gonna look that up.
1,700, and they took them out. There was no doubt who the boss was. They did an unbelievable job. Then they started even cleaning. I said, I don't want them doing that, sir. They were cleaning it up. I drove through it 2 days ago. It was beautiful. People are walking down the street holding hands, man and wife, coming from Iowa. They're not worried about being shot. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. In fact, I went out to dinner with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington, D.C. went from our most unsafe city to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days.
Yeah, I couldn't confirm. I couldn't find any evidence of that anywhere. And he's full of shit, man. He's such full of shit.
But give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad.
I'm not reacting to these long ass speeches because he just be blabbing, lying and blabbing. I need to just find like the important stuff that he talks about. I heard he said something crazy. I don't know when we get in there, but I'm bored. I know you're bored too because this motherfucker just doesn't just be yapping.
They think, the Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war for.
Let's be very clear. Republican states are way more dangerous than Democratic states, and it's not close. The only reason why Democratic cities may have more violence is because they have more people. But in terms of more violence overall, it's Republican areas by far.
Within controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. We had no people enter in the last 4 months. Zero. Even I can't believe that. We had millions coming in, pouring in. 25 million all told. And of those 25 million, many of them should never be in our country. They would take their worst people and their people from prisons and jail, and they'd put them in a caravan and they'd walk up.
That is a lie.
Oh, why are you coming? I want freedom. Good. Were you in jail? Yes. For what? Murder. He said, you had to see this anchor, a young woman. She's like, I couldn't believe it. She'll probably lose her job. But because the left doesn't want to hear that. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military, because we're going into Chicago.
That is an insane thing to say. We should use Chicago because he's talking about democratic cities. He's saying we should use democratic cities to train the military. Why is MAGA so brainwashed? What president says this shit? That they're going to send their military into cities of America to train their personnel. It's like he's not even trying to hide that he's a fascist, authoritarian piece of garbage.
That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money.
Do you want to talk about failed businesses? Huh, little bro?
Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time.
Do you want to talk about money someone else made and gave to you?
This week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that, they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any. You shouldn't lose any. This is civilization. And he's always up.
Isn't your bitch ass Republicans the ones who never give 2 shits to fix mass shootings? Huh? You shouldn't lose any. Get the fuck out of here. Go fuck yourself. Jesus Christ. He's so full of shit.
They're saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone? And I get a call from the liberal governor. Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding.
God.
Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor, but I'll check it. And I'll call you back. I called her back. I said, this place is a nightmare. It's certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal. They go after our ICE people who are great patriots and tough job too, but they love it. They love it because they're cleaning up our country. And so you look at some of the
Clean up our country by arresting innocent people just doing work and mothers. That's cleaning up our country. No, that's cleaning up brown people from your white country. That's what's really going on. It's so disgusting.
things where they took over parts of Seattle. They actually took over a big percentage of Seattle. Think of that. You remember that. That was a while ago. And I sent in the troops and they were gone. As soon as I sent them in, when we send in the troops, if you have a real leader that says you got to do what you have to do, I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, there were troops standing up like this, brave, standing up, attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I'm like this. And people are standing, and their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at him, and they're screaming at him. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so.
What the fuck? What the fuck? He's saying now the military can retaliate against anybody. He's really enforcing the principle of creating an authoritarian militarism state. That's what he's trying to do. Where people can't fight back. People can't protest back. People can't be angry. Nah, they can now be violent against them. Oh my God, Donald Trump. Like, I know he's a fascist. I know he wants to be an authoritarian. I know he wants to be a dictator. But he's saying it so clearly, but still, MAGA won't get it through their thick. No, they will. MAGA wants him to be the king. He's their cult leader after all.
It's a new thing. They spit, we hit. How about the cars where the cars are coming out? They get brand new cars, Border Patrol, ICE, beautiful, nice new cars. And they're driving along and they have to go through a gauntlet of rocks being thrown at the car. So here's this beautiful brand new car. By the time it goes 100 yards, it's destroyed. These guys have pretty good arms, some of them. And they're throwing bricks at full force into the window and into the car. It looks like it's a war zone.
Legacies aren't built in the big moments.
That you want to do? Because those people are you can die from that. Those bricks go through the windows. You can die. They'd like it to. They'd like it to go through the window. But this was a couple of months ago. They just kept driving and bricks are hitting the car. And I said, why aren't they stopping? Because they were under orders from the past administration, never stop. But that's different with us. We stop. And since I gave that order, we haven't had that problem. It's very interesting. It's amazing. It's just like
this is so ridiculous. I can't believe this is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. He's really just saying pretty cutthroat and clearly that he's okay with the military to retaliate against citizens. It's so disgusting.
in Venezuela, you've seen the boats going. We can't find any more boats. They're carrying drugs. Massive. Every boat kills about 25,000 people. That's what they have. They have fentanyl mostly and a lot of other drugs.
He made that shit up completely. None of these people got a trial. No investigation happened. He just killed people on boats.
We take them out, and we've taken out 4. So, and it's on air. Everybody gets to see it. Not that we like to do that, but every boat kills 25,000 on average. 20. Some people say more. You see these boats just stacked up with bags of white powder. It's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too. And now we have a problem. General Kane says, "Sir, there are no boats out there. Not even fishing boats. They don't want to go fishing. I don't blame them. There'll be no fishing today." But it's amazing what strength will do, because all we want to do is stop drugs from flowing into our country. It's destroying. We lost 300,000 people died last year. Everybody knows friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a son or daughter because of what's coming into our border. And we're making it very hard. Oh, and we haven't even started yet. Last month, I signed an executive order to provide training for a quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. So this is going to be a big thing for the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you're involved at all, they all joke. They say, "Oh, this is not good." You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Tren de Araguas at 10, 12, 15 kids, and these military guys walk up to them, and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to. Some of the stone cold murderers, we don't have the confidence, even though they're not coming back very easily. We don't have the confidence. We put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all use the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our
I can't believe this is the America we live in, man. Or he's trying to justify using the military against the citizens of the United States of America. It's just insane. It's insane.
leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, "Oh, you're not allowed to use the military." And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? "We love the military." You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical.
Your bitch ass uses the term insurrectionist. I hate MAGA so much. They're such bad people. I just don't understand people like Ezra Klein, for example. That's like, we can bridge the gap with these people. How can we bridge the gap with these people? I know a lot of great Republicans. I know a lot of great people from the right. I have a lot of friends of people on the right. This is different. This is completely different. These people don't want to bridge the gap. They want to take control. It's so disgusting.
So today I want to thank every service member, from general to private, who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, "Sir, thank you." I know immediately what they're thinking. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long, because we got the careers. We call them the careers. We got these lunatics out, and they'll never be any good. I hate to tell this to the liberal media. You could spend time with them. You could do whatever you want. You could send them to the finest schools, which they couldn't get into anyway. Mentally, they couldn't get in. But no matter what you do, they'll never be good. They're bad. They're career criminals. I don't know. Maybe they were born that way. Some people.
Is he alluding to? Is this a race realist argument? That certain people were born into criminal behavior? What in the fuck are we talking about? Is this not using the military on your people? And now he's trying to push an idea that certain people are born criminals. I'm speechless. I am dumbfounded on what I'm hearing right now. This is beyond disgusting.
People don't like me to say that, but maybe they were. Certainly some were. Together with the leaders here today, we're also restoring a needed focus on defeating threats in the Western Hemisphere. Throughout this region, cartel terrorists have been allowed to wage a relentless campaign of death and destruction on our country, all because we had weak leadership on top. And we did a great job with it first term, but this is something else what we're doing now. We're taking it to the next level, probably next level times 3. But we had COVID come up, and we had to take care of that. We did a great job with COVID. We had the therapeutics, it was just Regeneron, so many things we did for COVID, but we had to focus on that, and every other country in the world was being decimated by COVID. So we had to change gear a little bit to take care of that. But under our leadership, the military is now the knife's edge in combating the sinister enemy. We have to put the traffickers and cartels on notice, and we've done that. And we put them, a lot of them, we've called them a terrorist organization, which is actually a big thing to do. Nobody's done it, but I've done it with a lot of them. It gives you a tremendous advantage. If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence.
He doesn't even know what terrorism is. A terrorist organization is an organization that commits violence based off a political agenda. There's a reason why they didn't call the cartels a terrorist organization, because what's their political agenda?
Existence, because it's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing. As president, I will never hesitate to defend our people from threats of violence, from the horrible plague that's taking place from within. The Iran nuclear power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out to kingdom. We took advantage of it, and we just really took advantage of it. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And that's what military power can achieve. That's why I chose Raising Cane. He's fantastic, by the way. I hope you all agree. If anybody disagrees, could I please have your hand? Who disappears at Raising Cane is no good? Just raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. All right. That means you're okay. That means that he's okay now, but I saw his results. You know, he took out ISIS. I was told it was going to take 4 years. It took 4 weeks. I went to see him, and he took him out in 4 weeks, knocked him out, knocked him to hell. And I was told by military people it was going to take 4 to 5 years to do it. And I don't even know if we'll have it then, sir. These were the Washington generals. I call them the television generals. But Raising Cane did it in 4 weeks, took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. As a result of these actions and many others since my inauguration, we're witnessing the triumphant return of peace through strength. We have great peace through strength. America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs. He said, it's not our president. We can't have it. I'm very careful.
Do I want to listen to the rest of this? I'm dumbfounded. I'm probably gonna cut it. All right. Apparently, there's more. He said.
Careful. You know, when I walk downstairs, like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy. We don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't.
Do you still schedule employees like this or like this? Try building the work schedule with When I Work. Get it done in minutes.
Don't pop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would pop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da-da-da-da, pop, pop, pop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said, it's great. I don't want to do it. I guess I could do it. But eventually, bad things are going to happen. And it only takes once. But he did a lousy job as president. A year ago, we were a dead country. We were dead. This country was going to hell. We were dead in every way, from immigration to military. We didn't have the weapons. We were giving everything to Ukraine. We had nothing. And by the way, I have to tell you, now, as you know, I went over and I met with NATO, and NATO raised from 2 to 5.
That's a lie, too. We gave old weapons that we don't use anymore to Ukraine. It's just so tiring.
Which everyone said 5% of GDP. Millions and now trillions of dollars are pouring in. They didn't pay the 2% because they know we were there to pay it. And now they paid the 5%. That's trillions of dollars. And we're not spending any money on that war, not 10 cents. We sell our equipment to NATO. NATO pays us for the equipment, and they give it to Ukraine or whoever they give it to. They can keep it. But we're not involved. We have no money going out. Biden gave $350 billion. Not sustainable. $350 billion. And we have a war that should have never started. But we're not doing that anymore. So I just want you to know we're selling equipment. Our people are buying equipment. They are buying the equipment at full price, a fair price. So I don't want to say we're making money, because I don't want to be making money on a war. It's too many people dying. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. A lot of them are Russian soldiers, but between the two countries, mostly soldiers, by the way. Sometimes, in Kiev, they'll lob a missile in, or some drones in, kill some people, but mostly it's soldiers. Russia and Ukraine are losing 7,000 souls. And, they're not American. They're not us. They're not you. We have a special obligation. But they're soldiers. They're young people. They leave their parents. They wave goodbye. And then 2 days later, they're blown up. So
And this bitch-ass motherfucker who's pretending like he cares about anybody's fucking life. Says all this bullshit, but he has no problem with, deporting immigrants, treating them like shit, ruining people's family. Fuck you. Like, he's such a piece of garbage. This man is a terrible person.
necessarily. And so that's the primary reason I want to get it done. We got to get it done. It's
That's a
crazy what's
fucking
going
lie.
on.
He
It's the
doesn't
worst
give
war
two
that there's
shits
been
about
since
their
World
life.
War II. The number of soldiers that are being killed there is just crazy. From 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die a week. Think of that. So I think we'll get that done. But that's turned out to be the tough.
He just wants to get it done so he can look good and also help Putin because he's a little cuck for Putin.
First one, I'm so disappointed in President Putin. I thought he would get this thing over with. He should have had that war done in a week. And I said to him, you don't look good. You're 4 years fighting a war that should have taken a week. Are you a paper tiger? And it's a shame, but I think eventually we'll get that one done. Just like in theory, I want to knock on wood because you never know. It's like we're going to have the Middle East done, which is actually a much harder thing to do. I mean, thousands of years, but we have to get that war done. So now just think of it, we're a dead country. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, a great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion and more. They ordered 200 planes, Boeings, they ordered so much, and they were great. But they all said essentially the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. The absolute hottest country in the world. There's nobody even close. Putin said that to me. We met in Alaska, had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones into Kiev. I said, we had a good meeting. But it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. You can be proud of that. And you must have felt like hell when you have a wife or a husband at home, and you used to read the numbers that we can't get people to join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. You must have felt like, I have a job that nobody wants. That doesn't feel good. Well, now you have a job that is brimming over with people wanting it. They want it. And you're able to get a much higher quality because now you have your choice. You want so many. And we're going to have many, many people that aren't going to be able to join because of the fact that we don't need them at this moment. But think of it, what a difference that is from, I could just imagine 2 years ago, you're reading front page articles in the New York Times, of course, and Wall Street Journal. They always give us unfair stories. But they don't want to join the Coast Guard at all. No. And I used to say, boy, I'm speaking in front of the military today, and it's embarrassing because I'm speaking in front of people who have a job that other people don't want, but now you have a job that everybody wants. So I think that has to make you feel good. It's one of the reasons I love being here today because I wanted to say that. I have to say that everybody wants to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. If you think the Coast Guard and Space Force are beautiful space force. A year ago, you wouldn't have thought that was possible. A year ago, because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason. Physical, to be able to cut people because of merit. We're thinking about making it larger. They were talking about making the military smaller because they can't get the people to join. We're thinking about making it larger because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason, a physical reason, a mental reason. You don't have to take them anymore because you have the pick of the litter. And they all want to be with you. They all want your job. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They'll even take your job, Got to be a little bit sharp. You got to watch it. But everybody wants to be doing what you're doing now. What a difference when I speak to you, and I can say that as opposed to a couple of years ago when I was talking to rooms where they were desperate to get people and they couldn't get them. What a difference a presidential election can make. That's all it is.
Like I said, full of shit. Everything he's saying, full of shit.
It's a presidential election. Yesterday at the White House, we put forward a plan for peace in Gaza. We announced it, and we're going to create a reign over that. And I had the idea for the border peace, a very volatile part of the world, and keep it non-volatile so you don't have to get involved. We want a full fighting force in the world. And I would say that even 2-3 years ago. And as you know, we're also working hard to get the allies to share more of the burden of our defense. Much about think of that. That was unthinkable. It used to be 1%, then we got it up to 2% in my last term. And they did not like it. And now I got it to 5%. And I get along great with all of them. In fact, they call me the president of NATO. I said, I don't think so. But they're great. They're great people. And they're spending a lot of money. And a lot of money that they should have been spending in the past. But I think Putin was a wake-up call for them, really, really fair pricing. We're making a lot of money. It's my hope that from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, our allies will make similar commitments to increase their military capabilities. And this will greatly strengthen our alliances. And also, it'll make war far less likely. If you're a strong presence like we are such a strong presence now. And I go around bragging about that. I said, we have the strongest military You never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it. We have the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of them that have been in the world. We have great leadership. And I'll tell you, Pete and General Kane, all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody. It'll also help the United States rapidly rebuild our defense industrial base. Each of you can play an important part in getting allies to do their part. So to that end, Secretary Hegseth will soon be announcing major reforms to streamline military acquisitions and expedite foreign military sales. We have tremendous numbers of countries that want to buy our equipment. And, in many cases, it takes too long. They're backlogged. We're backlogged on all the equipment, which is something that's new to us a little bit. And I told those companies, you better get your ass going because we're not going to mention, but some of the countries are buying a lot. And that's a good thing. They're on our side. 95%. I'll never say 100% because they can always, we make the best equipment in the world, but they got to make it for everything. They got to make it faster. Embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it starts as our enemies, the United States Armed Forces, will be totally unmatched in the future. We have a group of enemies that come close to matching us. Again, it's very important for me to say we have the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. It's like a needle, hitting another needle on the stage. There's a 14. This is where the ran with.
People unironically being able to listen to Donald Trump, the shit that comes out of his mouth is a skill, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the empire to the United States of America. History has shown that military supremacy, spirit of our military that truly sets us apart from any other nation. The unbending will and the traditions of that's what we are. Of any other country, nobody close. Nimitz and LeMay, we carry forward the majestic military heritage passed down from father to son, soldier to soldier, and one generation of warriors, best of the best. From the jungles of Vietnam to the dusty streets of crossed roaring oceans and thundered across open deserts, covering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and defending our way of life. Nothing will slow us. No enemy will stop us. They cannot stop us. And no adversary will stand in our way. They won't stand in our way. We don't 4 years like we had with Biden and that group of, it was the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have every generation to come. Once again, and God bless the United States military.
Shout out all the generals not clapping to that bullshit. The dog shit ass speech. All right. He's such a piece of shit. Look at the comments. I have a huge respect for the senior officers. What's going on here is just bizarre. Thank you, President Trump, for willingly displaying your incompetence directly in front of the military leadership. The deafening silence, a tremendous relief. May our military remain apolitical and loyal to the Constitution. This event was completely inappropriate. Oath to the country, oath to the people. Remember who you serve. To the people. Release the Epstein files. I used to work in mental health. I'm going to say, listen to Trump's remind me of some of our more extreme customers. Bro, he just be yapping. At least he was right about one thing. The U.S. to be too preoccupied with external has not handled the increasingly serious internal problems well. Yeah, Donald Trump. All right. These comments are base. That's all I got. Donald Trump sucks. You already know that. Help me get to 800 subscribers. You have a good one. Take care. Peace.